Hi, I'm Marianne, a mum and business owner living here in Scotland.
And I'm Emily, her daughter, figuring out life, love, and career chaos while living in Dubai.
Welcome to the Distance Diaries. This is where we catch up on everything: family wins, career curveballs, the messy moments, and the hilarious bits in between.
Every week, we share honest, funny, and sometimes emotional conversations about staying connected no matter where life takes us.
So grab a cuppa and join us, because staying close doesn't have to be complicated.
Let's dive right in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Distance Diaries.
Woohoo!
Hope you all had a lovely new year. You're all back into routine. Everybody went back to work on Monday, I think, for the majority. So I hope it's been a good, productive week. How's your first week back been, Mum?
Well, I had actually a really cool first day back because I ended up, the very first meeting I had of 2025 was going to see the Scottish First Minister, and my back of my head ended up on TV that night.
That's very
So I
cool.
just have to work on the front of my head being on TV, and I've got it sorted. But
Well,
there
that's
you
the
go.
goal for the end of the year.
I start with the back of my head and I end with my face on telly. Right, I think that's a goal for 2025.
Okay, done. Write it down.
I'm going to write it down. That's so funny. Anyway, it's been fine in answer to your question. It's been a really good 2 days, and part of me is just glad to be back to routine, if I'm being honest.
Good.
Yeah. But missing you, because you were here for Christmas and New Year, and now you're back in Dubs.
I know, it's been very sad, and that leads me on quite nicely to what we're going to talk about today. So,
Yeah.
in this episode, we're going to explore loneliness. So, what is it? Why is it so common in today's society? How it affects us individually and globally, and the best ways to tackle it head on and address it. So, our goal is to better understand loneliness, reframe it a wee bit. It doesn't always have to be a negative thing. It's not always a negative thing. I think it's misunderstood at times. And maybe share some tips and advice on moving forward through the loneliness.
Absolutely. And because I think loneliness is something, how was it described once that I remember hearing it? Said loneliness is the gap between the connections we want and the connections we have. And because this podcast is all about staying connected, there's no more relevant a topic really to talk about. And I always remember Robin Williams has got famous quotes around loneliness, and that he says he never felt so lonely as the days he was in a crowded room.
Yeah.
And it can even happen in close relationships when your needs, your emotional needs aren't met. So I think it's something that doesn't have to be about physical isolation. It can just be something that when you have feelings of feeling unheard, unseen, misunderstood, it can bring on these feelings of loneliness. And I know when we were discussing, like, what will we talk about for this episode, we're just off the back of Christmas and New Year. And so I want to ask you, Emily, did you feel lonely at any time during Christmas and New Year?
I never felt lonely at the time, but I recognise how lonely my life can be in Dubai. Like, it really hit home just how lonely it can be. Because when I was home, I was surrounded by family and like my most favourite people on earth every single day for 2 weeks straight. Like, there was never a moment where I was on my own.
Yeah.
But then to come away from that, I've realised, like, oh gosh, I actually have quite a lonely life. Not always in a sad way, but I have quite a lonely, isolated life out here.
Yeah. Because I have to say that the reason this felt like the right thing to talk about was because I was really quickly struck by feelings of loneliness. It took me a little bit of time to connect to what my feelings actually were, because I have a really busy life. I've got lots of professional hats that I wear that takes up a lot of my time and my energy. It's usually just me and your stepdad, Paul, because we're in business together, so that's a big driver for us. Suddenly there was my girls all around me, boyfriends there, We saw
Boyfriend,
friends. Sorry, boyfriend, not
singular.
plural, singular. So Emily is available.
For all those women listening.
And then we went out to O'Kilpatrick Food Parcels because we helped out there for a couple of days, and it's an amazing charity. And I felt really strong sense of belonging. You were there with me, so was Orla, and boyfriend.
Boyfriend
Hi,
there.
his name's James. Hiya, James. And we all just kind of mucked in together, and there was people there who were facing financial, social hardship. The most amazing environment, and they were looking at us like we were the ones helping. I went away with way more than I ever gave in those 2 days. And it made me think about what are the environments I'm actually spending my time every single day. I'm always surrounded by people, but is it always people who are truly invested in me and really interested in me and looking to nurture me? And the
Yeah.
answer
Like
is
that.
no.
It's like, are you like, I spend, like, I'm at work, I've got
Hmm.
like friends here, but see, coming home and being around the people that fill your cup up the most,
I
it's
agree.
it's quite, it takes you back a wee bit. Like, I've got Caitlin here and she fills my cup up so much, but she's just one person. There's only so much that she can do and I can do for her.
Yeah.
And as much as we have a great time, like, it is just me and her living in this wee bubble over here. So coming back and having all the people that totally complete me be around me all the time, and then that suddenly getting taken away. You're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, how was I filling my cup up as much as that?
Yeah. Because you coming home, Orla coming home, James coming home, they were all, it felt so rich. To the point that sometimes, as I'm not an introvert at all. I am an extrovert, but I would probably say I'm more of an ambivert. I need like that isolated time as well.
Yeah.
Suddenly having all of that connection right there felt overwhelmingly rich at points. And then it wasn't till that it really started me thinking about it. And then it wasn't till you went that the sudden feelings of emptiness returned. And I thought, oh, I shouldn't be feeling empty, should I? What's changes am I going to have to make in my life to address this? Or is
Yeah.
it just that I'm missing my daughter? Do you know? I'm missing my daughters. And is there anything wrong with that? So I think it's a little bit of both. And I think because we both felt it, we thought it would be something that would be good to explore today. Because I do think when we talk about, well, with this podcast, the world has never been so connected and yet so socially disconnected.
Yeah.
Loneliness is absolutely on the rise. And as a big part of that is how our society's changed. I mean, look at what we're doing now. We're recording this on Riverside. You're in Dubai. I'm in Scotland. Social media is where people will log in to hear us talking. And it can often create this illusion of connectivity. But actually, it can also make you feel really isolated. Because you're like me, you're quite forward facing on social media. So how does that make you feel sometimes? Because from the outside, you look like you are living the vida loca, and that you've got life sorted. Emily, are you sorted?
Oh, I couldn't be any further from it, I don't think. But that is the thing with social media. It's created that false reality that we all think that we should have. Everybody online, you always put your best front forward online, and that's, everybody knows that everyone does that, but it's hard to actually really accept it for what it is when you feel so different. So everybody puts out that they're living their best life, they're happy, they've got all these friends. Because what else are you going to put out? But if you're watching that and you're feeling lonely and you're feeling real, because that's the real feeling, you can feel even more lonely because you think every single other person out there that you're seeing online isn't. But it's not the case at all. Like, I'll post videos where I'm my happy best self, but reality is I've had a really lonely, shitty day, and I've not spoken to a single soul apart from myself and the camera.
So true, isn't it?
I've spoken to myself more than I've spoken to other human beings that day, or for
Yeah.
several days.
Mm-hmm. I've sometimes feel as well that visibility of social media can be so exhausting. I get so exhausted by the visibility of it, of being on show with it all the time. It makes me want to retreat and not socialise. It pushes me into the introvert part of me and not into the extrovert. And I think that that's definitely got worse since COVID as well, because COVID threw us all online. There was days during COVID, I was running business clinics, like sometimes 3 and 4 times in a day, with rooms full of people. And I'd never done that level of social media before. And it just made you want to like hide under the duvet. And you know what you used to see when you were growing up? You'd be wondering where I was, and everybody would say, what would you say? She's away having what?
Oh, so we're having our dolphin time.
Caca,
Right.
caca. I do. That's what we called it. It was like mum just needs to be on her own. Because I am extrovert, but I need that balance. And that need for that social isolation has got more, the more visible I am on social media, because it's so exhausting.
See, I don't feel that way. I feel the opposite.
Oh, you get energized by it. I have my moments, but I will retreat under a rock. Well, you're still like fired up like a Duracell battery with it.
See, if I'm not doing something like that, that's when I tend to retreat under a rock. If I'm not stimulated, whatever it does to my brain. So I love seeing, although I know the reality of it, I love seeing people happy and spending time with their friends and going out and doing adventurous things and being their best life, because I think I want that for myself.
Yeah, but I still get exhausted if I do too much of it. And the thing is, I know that then it triggers me just wanting to be alone. That isn't so good if it keeps going, because then I can feel quite lonely. Yous aren't here. I can't just hop down the road and come and visit you. I don't have that physicality with you. And I'll tell you something else that I read that really took me aback, that it said research shows that loneliness is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. A day. That's the physical impact on your body from feelings of loneliness. And I'm lucky because we can talk to each other about how we're feeling, but there's people out there that don't have a safe space to be able to say, I feel lonely, because there's this social stigma around, oh, you must be a sado. Do you know, what's up with you? Go and get a pal. Do you know? So I am officially saying, I'm going to say right now, I experience loneliness. There you go.
I will second that. I also experience loneliness. And it's just what you were saying there about people saying, like, oh, go make friends. That resonates a lot, because like moving to Dubai or moving anywhere in the world, you do need to go out and make friends from scratch.
Yeah.
But when you're used to having such strong relationships with your friends at home, these people know everything about you. You couldn't be more comfortable around them if you tried. They've been through the best and the worst moments of your life to date. To then going back to the start with people who know absolutely nothing about you and you're not connected to them at all.
Yeah.
That's hard. So again, like, you can be surrounded by so many people, so many lovely people, but still feel incredibly lonely.
Yeah. Because I think you've touched on something really important. I remember watching recently, Nicole Kidman's been on the news just talking about the loss of her mum. And how she's really struggling with that, even though I think it's maybe a year on, and she's allowing herself to feel the way she's feeling. And it's because she lost someone who knew everything about her. There was absolutely no secret. There was no effort involved. She just knew everything. And I know we've had that conversation with each other that now we're a bit older, we can easily live together. That last 2 weeks, how easy was that?
Dead
Easy.
easy.
Very
Kept it
easy.
going.
Yeah. There's just this sense of deep, deep knowing that you don't have to consciously plan something ahead or worry about what you're going to say or how you're looking. There's nothing. You can just be with one another. And she talked about just losing that and how difficult it was. And you think people out there who have lost somebody, and we've both lost people over the last couple of years, and how that impacts you when you lose people really close in your network, that you lose those people of knowing.
Yeah, I've seen things about like losing people close to you, like mothers in particular. It's like your life starts when your mother dies, or your mum, dad, whoever that figure is for you when they pass, because then you need to learn how to do things in life without them.
Yeah.
And it is, and although like you're still here and all my friends are still here, it feels that same sort of way. Like you've moved away, you've met new people, you have to figure things out without these people right by your side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know, because it's like there's been many times you've said to me, oh God, I don't think I could go on if you weren't here. And you say it loosely as you carry on, it's another topic kind of thing. But it is that deep-rooted connectivity that you have in that relationship.
No,
and then losing it.
When me and Caitlin flew back to Dubai, that night, both of us got really upset, like tears, snotters, just talking about our mums and how much like we loved spending time with you, and like we just could not imagine our lives without you in it, like, and how as you get older we need you more.
Yeah. We need you. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's really funny. I've always brought you up. Do you know that I've always said I'm not bringing you up to be dependent on you. I want to be able to say, hey, I've got a life. Get off and do yours. And I'm actually feeling for the first time. We talked about if you were to ever come home, where would you live? And I happened to say to you, do you know, I quite fancy getting an apartment in Edinburgh or something. That would be quite fun. And you went, oh, I'd have to travel to visit you. I wouldn't be able to see you as much. See, the moment you said that, I thought, oh, I can't live in Edinburgh. I would never have come into my head that, and I know we've had conversations since that I've said to you, if you come home, I'll have to live close to you.
Yeah.
It's not like that, but it's become really real for me that sense of you're a really important part of my life, and of my friendship, and all different kinds. I love that experience, and it's all something that I need, that stops me from feeling lonely, no matter how many people I surround myself with. So you're a key part of that for me. So yeah, I think it's a good thing to talk about it. And I think that there's also, as we started the conversation, you kind of hinted that there might be a good side to loneliness. Is that possible, Emily? Is it possible?
Yes, I think there's a big gap. People get loneliness and being alone very mixed up. I've got friends and people that I know that couldn't think of anything worse than being alone, and when they are alone, they feel lonely. But it's only when they're just physically by themselves and they don't like that. But to them, that feels like they're lonely, but they're not. They're just not comfortable with being on their own, like being alone. Me and I love nothing more than being on my own. Nothing more. And I don't feel an ounce of loneliness whilst I'm doing it. I love it.
No, it's great, isn't it?
So
dolphin time. By the way, I
Like,
know that isn't how dolphins sound. I'm just saying, right? But that's the sound we've always used for a dolphin. But yeah, you both love being alone, but you were always encouraged to go and spend time alone and to just appreciate who you were.
Yeah, but that's only been, to be honest, a recent thing for me. In fact, it's not. I've always known that I've loved my alone time, but the situations that I've maybe put myself into in life have led me to believe otherwise. And now that I'm not in those situations, aka relationships anymore,
so you are available.
I think I made it out at the start as if never mind, as if I was looking for a girlfriend because I said to all the ladies out there.
Well, the thing is, see, when you were home, it's funny because you've got lots of girlfriends and boyfriends who are all, in relationships, and you're not. But I have never seen you as content and happy with your single life. Do you know, it's not an issue. It's just, oh God, you are so happy and so grounded. And this is just a really good place for you to be, that it's just not even something we need to even talk about. And it was lovely seeing your sister and James, because they're such a beautiful couple, and how happy they are together, and you can really celebrate it. But that's okay, that's for them. And it's good to just be at peace with yourself and to be able to spend that time on your own.
Yeah, I never thought I would ever feel like that. That terrified me at one point. I thought, what is life if you're single? Like, you're just alone all the time, and like, that's not a life. Like, that's genuinely what I thought. I used to look at, they're now in relationships, but when I first became single, I used to look at my single friends and think, how do they enjoy life? Which is bizarre. I was like, how are they happy? Like, they're on their own. How is that happy? But I have never been happier than I am on my own. And like, I do have all my friends, 99% of my friends are in relationships, and I'm friends with the boyfriend. Like, we're all friends, and I love that for them. I'm so happy for them, but there's not an ounce of jealousy or like, oh, wish that was me going on at all. Even James and Orla, when they were home at Christmas and they would have a wee cuddle or something, or he would do something for her, that's so lovely for her. Like, it's nice to see, but I don't feel like I need that. I'm happy to go to the fridge and get myself a drink of juice. Really fine.
But I'm going to put a question mark up there, because that's great that you're in this space of being able to really embrace your own company and taking time to be alone. I watched a TikTok recently. I started following this woman online called Margot Miller, who's in the States. And I think she's a kind of life spiritual coach. And she does a lot of like energetics, you know, if you look at quantum leaps in your life and energy. And what she says was that if you're feeling lonely and alone, it's not to attach negativity to it. It may be an indication that the universe is giving you time alone so that you can learn what you need to learn to project you into your next level of being. Yep. Right, that sounded complicated when I said it, I think. But I know that when things are getting really tough, I always ask myself the question of, what do I need to learn here? So I'm wondering, because you've suddenly got all this contentment with being alone, that you've got the opportunity to be alone whenever you want to be, is this your time that your body is gearing up for your next bit of personal growth and expansion? Because she was also saying that the longer you feel like that, then the bigger the change and transformation will be when it comes.
Well, I hope that's correct.
I know. I might be on the telly after all this in another 12 months. Well, my face might be. And I thought, actually, I really get that. Do you know when things are maybe, you're feeling quite, I've felt for a wee while, for the last 6 months, that there's been a big change coming.
Yeah.
And on a whole system level for me, and I couldn't quite nail it. I'd probably say for the last year, if I'm being honest. And I've been holding that emerging future, knowing that I wasn't socialising as much, I wasn't doing as much as I normally do. I was being challenged by it, maybe feeling a wee bit lonely. So there was all this going on, and things are starting to fall. Just know when wee pennies are starting to drop, whether it's been around the direction of business and finding a different niche and lots of different things that I think, actually, I think I've just needed this time to do some personal reflection, that had I kept on that busy train with lots of people maybe not serving me for this journey, I wouldn't have been able to work it out. So it really resonated what she said.
Yeah, well, it's that thing, like, relating it back to relationships, because that's the easiest thing to understand. Like, when you're single, people jump too fast because they hate being alone. And they jump into something else because they don't want to be alone, It just, it's this continuous bunny hop.
Yeah.
But when you actually stop and let yourself be whatever needs to happen, let it happen, let you allow yourself to enjoy your own company, like, the growth is rapid when that happens, like when you're finally content and just being yourself. Like, I know if I got into another relationship now, where me and Caitlin were actually talking about this the other day as well, for both of us, we've both been in not so great situations, and if we were to ever get into something else and that wasn't to work, I would be absolutely totally fine stepping out of it and being on my own, because I know that that's okay, but you need to learn that that's okay first.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's happening for a reason.
Happens for a reason. So I've learned to be on my own. I know that is okay. It's not like the first time when I thought, oh my God, life is over. What is life? Now I've been through it, I've realised life is actually great regardless. Yeah. So if something wasn't to work out, yeah, that's sad, but life goes on and life is actually still good.
And it was working out. It wasn't working out for the reason that you needed to realise that that wasn't right for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Exactly. So I think there's a bit there that's coming out, that solitude can really foster clarity and creativity and self-compassion when you take time to be alone. And I think there's also a bit of doing that shifting of your perspective from saying I'm lonely to I'm being called to realign myself or others. Do you know? So and it's just being able to check if that's what's going on for you. Gosh, we're going to be a bit deep dive today, Emily. Deep dive today.
It just teaches you basically to rely on yourself rather than always looking for others to make you happy.
Yeah. But there's things that I'll do during that time on my own, like I'll maybe just send me messages to friends, just saying hiya. I'll journal a bit. I'll meditate more when I'm on my own. I'll spend time writing. I'll maybe take walks on my own with the dog.
Yeah.
I do all of those things, and it's those things, when I'm doing them, that I have the best ideas, that the pennies really start to drop. And I think, oh my goodness, that felt like it should have been so obvious, but it's taken that time alone and that time journaling for it to show up for me. And the other thing that I also think helps me with that is when I don't do social media scrolling as much. If I take time to go back to kind of old-fashioned basics, a bit meditation, bit of walking, bit of journaling, and stay off that blooming phone, that so helps. So helps.
They call it doom scrolling.
Oh, is that what it's... Oh, I didn't even know it had a name.
Yeah, if you go on a doom scroll.
See, just before you came home at Christmas, I don't know whether I was exhausted. I surely was exhausted. And I could not, do you know when you get to that point where you're going, 4 days to go, 3 days to go, 2 days to go till she's home, and then I will give myself permission, or Christmas gives me permission to stop. And when my phone measures how long I've spent in social media, I'm not even going to admit how long it was. It was hours and hours in a day. And I thought, I am doom scrolling my whole life away. And it became a bit addictive. And then Paul made a comment of, your head's never out that phone or never off that PC. And it just makes you so uncompassionate and disconnected, and just increases those feelings of loneliness. So I've really enjoyed talking about this today. And I think that, staying connected, when it comes down to it, doesn't have to be overcomplicated.
No.
Loneliness doesn't have to be negative. It's trying to put a different perspective on it if you're starting to feel it, and get to the root of why are you feeling this is really important. And to reach out to somebody, reach out for a wee conversation about it. Where are your safe spaces to be able to say, who are the people in your life that you can turn to in any day and say, I'm phoning up because I feel lonely today.
Yeah. And do you know what I've found? If you're feeling, me and my friends do this, if you're feeling maybe a wee bit, if just phoning somebody up and saying, oh, I feel lonely, if that feels like a, espresso depresso thing to do, and you don't feel, like you feel like boohoo me, like shut up, saying I'm lonely. But if you phone up your pal and don't just say, oh, I'm feeling lonely today, like, oh, if you phone up and say something like espresso depresso. So that's what me and my sister say to each other. Oh, I'm feeling pure espresso depresso today.
And she just knows. It's like your secret word, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like makes it a wee bit more lighthearted, but it's more comfortable to say.
Yeah, it's a really good tip. Really good tip.
It's a serious thing. So like lonely schmonely today, like something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a
edge off it, doesn't it? But
more
I say, let's embrace it. Let's embrace it. Let's talk about it. Let's recognise it as a reality of living just now. And we want to thank you for being part of this conversation with us. And we'd love to hear your thoughts about what does loneliness mean to you and how do you address it. And send us a message or comment in wherever you're listening to this podcast. And let's keep the conversation going, because this isn't going away. And the whole point of this podcast is to keep us more connected and connect more deeply in the year ahead. So we look forward to hearing what your perspective is on it all. Yeah. And we'll see you.
I was going to say something quite serious there.
Oh, were you? Well, we better let her say it.
It's a very serious topic when it comes down to it. Like, it can have life, ending consequences, loneliness. So if you are feeling that way and you just don't feel comfortable speaking to anybody that you have around you, there is so much help out there, and we can maybe pop a few links.
That's a great idea.
Or if you don't want to speak to anybody around you, drop us a message.
Yeah.
See if we can advise you on the best way to get you out of it.
Yeah. And just have empathy, because we
all feel
ourselves. And I know we're sharing today about us, how we've been having experience and feelings of loneliness recently. But I know both of us have really been hit hard by that through some really tough times in life that maybe we're not dive deeping into today. Do you know? Yeah. So just because somebody looks like they've got it sorted on the outside, and it would never have happened to her, never judge a book by its cover, because we've all got our stories.
Both of us, I know for a fact, have had times in our life where we feel so lonely inside that it's disabling.
Think about where your safe spaces are, and let us know if any of this resonates for you. And we look forward to seeing you back here, same time, same place, next week at
The Distance Diaries.
Yeah, it is. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Thanks for spending time with us on the Distance Diaries.
We hope you laughed, maybe learned something, and most importantly, felt a little more connected.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a little connection too.
And join us on Instagram and TikTok at the Distance Diaries podcast for sneak peeks, behind the scenes fun, and much more.
We'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Until then, stay connected, no matter the miles.